It's another Co-Pilots podcast.
The Holistic Podcast.
Because all podcasts are interconnected, which basically means that this is coming to you live from Adam Buxton's studio.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really enjoyed both the episodes we're going to be talking about for this episode.
Yeah, I'd already seen Dirk Gently, so I'm not surprised that I enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Well, seeing as we've started talking about it, should we start talking about it?
Yes.
I really, really liked this.
There are some characters in this that are...
One main one that's fucking irritating.
Are you thinking Dirk Gently is the irritating one?
Yep, but I'm very happy to let it slide because I liked the show that much. I was like, do you know what? I can put up with you being a massive Jeb end.
Yeah, I think it's just the way that you're like, okay, so, especially when Todd's just like, so, have you ever solved a crime? And he's like, well, no, not really, but I will.
So basically, this based on well, you didn't notice this, but it's based on a story by Douglas Adams.
It probably says it in quite big letters at the beginning of the episode.
It does. It says based on the novels by Douglas Adams. So I knew straight away. I was like, okay, this is going to be fucking mental.
It is.
And it is, but it's brilliant. So, basically, the story is Elijah Wood plays Todd, who works in a hotel, and one day he's struggling to pay the rent, and he's just a bit down on his luck. Works in this hotel, goes in one day, finds that one of the rooms has become a crime scene, of which he is now a suspect, and he is introduced by him climbing in through his apartment window to the holistic detective Dirk Gently. What's a holistic detective, I hear you cry? Well, Richard will explain.
It's just someone who solves crimes by just doing whatever. Which is how he describes his job. Which I think is the most incredible job in the world. I would love to just sort of go, well, I just do my normal thing and I have a hunch and then I solve a crime.
Yeah.
Well, what's good is the fact that I am rewatching this first episode is I know there are things in this episode that pay off like at the end of the season.
Oh, it's hang on. Have you watched the whole thing?
Yeah, I've watched the whole thing. I watched the whole thing before. It was at some point when it first came out. I watched the whole thing and went, "Yep, cool. That's going on the fucking podcast list. Joe needs to see this."
There's things that okay. Well, I thought the dog was going to be slightly more, and I think the fact that they're all looking for this kitten is you're very quiet, which makes you think I might have.
No, I'm not saying anything. That's.
But okay, so anyway, so Dirk Gently is really irritating, but in like a really good way.
From Todd's interactions with him, you know that the show is self-aware of that.
Yeah.
Because Todd's just like, please just leave me alone. Because he's getting him in... I think my favourite bit is where he's just like, when the guys come to like smash up Todd's apartment.
The Rowdy Three, of which there are 4.
Yeah, and where... I think Todd says something along the lines of like, "Oh, you're a holistic detective. Get us out of this." He's just like, "I'm very good at getting myself into situations, but I'm not really very good at getting myself out of them."
That was that was probably the most Douglas Adams line in the whole show. I'm not overly familiar with like Hitchhiker's Guide or his writing or anything, but anything that's vaguely it's almost. It could have been written by Douglas Adams or Terry Pratchett or Neil Gaiman, and I know that they're all hugely influenced by Douglas Adams. Other than Douglas Adams, of course, but it's just really good. But then the equally the thing that made me think, oh, this could really go places, is the fact that there's a discussion about how things work in parallel, and this conversation happens between Dirk and Todd. They're in an urban environment in a really flashy sports car, and they have this conversation about things running in parallel. The next scene is in a rural setting in a really old beaten up car where the exact same conversation is happening.
The holistic assassin.
The holistic assassin is having the same conversation, and I was like, this is absolutely fantastic. I loved that.
The holistic assassin is maybe my favourite character in this whole show.
Which is mental. But so
yeah,
where
like
Dirk Gently is his holistic detective skills are, I just go through life and I find that I solve crimes that way. She just goes, yeah, I'm a holistic assassin, which means basically if I feel like killing someone, I kill them, and they were my target.
It's such a great little sort of there's my whole justification, and but with both of them, they're put with a character that kind of balances it, because Todd's a bit skeptical about the whole holistic thing. And then...
As I think is fair, to be fair.
What's his name? Ken? The guy that's with Holistic Assassin Lady?
Yeah. Yeah, that's him.
And I love their first interaction where he's just like... He runs away because obviously she's just killed his friend. And then she's just like, Dirk, gently, you're going to die. And he's just like, I'm not... And she's like, then why did you run? He's like, because you killed my friend. And he's just, but why didn't you just say that you're not Dirk Gently? He's just like, because I don't know who that is. But no, the thing is, in the first episode, all the characters are so separate, and getting the fact that I'm watching it again and I know that they don't always stay so separate.
Yeah. But I guess when you're introducing people, if they're all sort of running around the same area,
yeah. Well, the thing is, there's the lady upstairs who the sniper outside accidentally shoots her captor somehow through some magic bending bullet that just bounces off, I think, nearly everything.
Yeah.
Then hits him, and then... But she only seems to be, up for screaming for help when she can hear loud noises downstairs, which is, I feel, not the best time.
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But this actually even got the seal of approval from Lisa, because she came and watched it pretty much from halfway through. Or no, it was at least when Dirk and Todd are starting to have a chat and he's doing his manic gobbledygooky stuff. And Todd's
He's very kind of Doctor Who, isn't he?
Yeah, completely. But they, Douglas Adams, Doctor Who, it's all of a type, British eccentric sci-fi, I suppose. But yeah, even she said this is actually really good, and that's the first sort of, other than Stranger Things, sorry, it's the only sci-fi thing she's into. It's not even that sci-fi. It's quite soft sci-fi. So,
see, this is the thing. When I add a show specifically so that you see it, it's normally good. I mean, it's happened twice now. You and Lisa have liked something. It's literally this and Gilmore Girls, and that's it.
Channel Zero. We watch it together.
Yeah, well, no, but with Channel Zero, that was a fluke.
Yeah, I mean, you could have claimed that, but fine.
Yeah, well, no, it's if there's something that I've already seen that I'm adding specifically so that you can see it.
Yeah.
Then it's normally for good reason.
That is very true.
I'm trying to think. There are so many just weird coincidences throughout this. Like the lottery ticket that... Also, yeah, the fact that he sees himself. That was...
But he never. I guess he doesn't want to come across as mental when it's he's already a suspect. If he then says, "Oh, I think I saw myself."
Yeah. So he keeps it quiet because he doesn't want to sound mental. But then he doesn't talk to anyone about it. even this mental holistic detective who's just like, I've stolen a car or borrowed a car. He never makes it clear. He's just like, it's not mine. But and then there's all the stuff with Todd's sister as well.
That stuff is probably it's among my my favourite parts of the show. Is the fact that she's clearly immediately it seems like she's struggling with depression, but then when she says, "Oh, I've got this illness called," was it parabilitis? That thing.
Yep.
Pararibulitis. Which is an illness where you hallucinate and you think things
where you
are
hallucinate
real?
and like you hallucinate and your senses get all muddled. So like water feels like fire and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what he said. And the example in the show is when she's playing the drums and she looks down and one of her drumsticks is turned into a big knife and she's cut her hand and everything. But the thing is, she actually feels that.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite a cool little... That's not a real illness, is it?
No, it's not.
I was going to say, that can't be a thing. Oh, excuse me.
But yeah, no, it's interesting because obviously Todd had it and now doesn't have it.
He says he's cured. Or, no, he says he got better, didn't he?
Yeah.
I was going to say, because if it was a cure, it would imply that, why don't you just go get the cure? But I guess not. Also, huge respect for Elijah Wood. Because I think he's brilliant in this.
Yeah, to be fair, pretty much everything I've seen him do has been pretty good.
What, Back to the Future 2?
Haven't seen it.
What?
I've seen the first one.
Oh, that's all right
not super into Back to the Future.
Really? Oh, I really like Back to the Future. It's a bit weird when it's all like, his mum fancies him. And Ed Burns
that's
got
just
that.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
Have you seen Ed Burns' joke about
Have I
Back to
seen
the Future?
an Ed Burn joke?
Yeah, of course you have. But how he says, like, his mum never says to her husband, do you know, he looks ever such a lot like that boy that came round and helped us that time when we were just getting together.
Yeah, that's the thing. See, it's that sort of continuity that I'm just like, well, you suck at time travel.
Well, I was about to do a really classy segue into another thing about time travel, but I'm not sure if you're finished talking about Dirk Gently.
No, I'm not really ready. Not really. I'm trying to think, because there's just so much in it. Because obviously he returns the dog to the... I guess basically an evolution of his character from Sin City.
Wait, what?
You remember Elijah Wood's character in Sin City?
The cannibal?
Yeah. The guy that he hands the dog to looks very much like an older, fatter version of that character.
Oh, he does, actually, now that you say that. I hadn't really thought of that.
Yeah, and then obviously there's the missing girl standing behind that guy.
Is that who that was?
Years.
I did not pick up on that at all. I don't know why, that just didn't... that just wasn't apparent to me. It completely went over my head.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's her.
Why does he not say anything at that point? Because he's seen the poster by that point, or is it after that he sees the poster?
No, he's seen the posters everywhere, all throughout the episode. He wouldn't have, and it's all on like the TV and stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think that final cut is like that final section of scenes with Todd is when he throws out Dirk and says like just leave me alone, and I think Dirk says something along the lines of, when you start actively making decisions to try and make your life better, interesting things will happen to you. And then so he makes that decision to get off the bus and return the dog.
Yep.
Sees the girl, wins the lottery. It's like the start of those interesting things starting to happen.
Yeah. Although you could argue that the
The
interesting things had
interesting
already
side,
happened.
the interesting thing was seeing him in a corridor
And then
shouting at someone. I like
opening
that
the-
scene so much because it's like him just being like, rah, rah, this isn't really happening, no, no, no. And he's like, wait, if this is and then he turns and looks at the elevator and it's like, oh. But
Yeah.
so, are you going to keep watching it?
Definitely. I don't know.
Score.
I don't know when, but I
At
would,
some point.
yeah, it's on the list. Following Supernatural, which I have actually continued watching.
Yeah, I've got one season of Bates Motel left to get through.
Base Motel, how long did we didn't do that long ago actually.
No, it's taken me some time to get through like the back half of season 4 and season 5 because it's all getting a bit like, please,
Just end.
a little bit of that. Yeah, just kind of.
Is it really?
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, at the end of season 4, his mum died, so I feel like we're getting into the good stuff.
Yeah, where he properly becomes Norman Bates, I guess.
Yeah. So that's making me a bit more interested to see it. But it got to a point that I was just like, he was like in a mental institute. Everyone was like, I think you might be crazy and I think you might actually hurt people. But then they just let him out. And I was like,
okay.
Come on. And like his psychiatrist just literally had a conversation with his split personality. And I was like, dude. You cannot let this man out. He was going to be a serial killer. And obviously after the funeral, he brought her back to the house, which was just fucking weird.
Mm-hmm. They will do that. I'm trying to think what else am I watching. Oh, we still haven't finished Channel Zero yet, but I imagine we'll probably finish that this weekend. That's getting a bit. It's not as good as the pilot, because the pilot was so good. The other episodes haven't really. They're still good. They're just not as amazing as the pilot was.
I guess because the pilot has that real big reveal at the end, where it's just like, but
Yeah.
whose idea was that? And it's like,
Yours.
Petunia. No, I think I'm gonna at some point I need to sit down and watch season 2 of Dirk Gently.
Oh, you've only seen the first.
Yeah, it's the same with like a series of unfortunate events. I'm kind of waiting until they come up on the podcast, then I'll continue watching them.
Wait, are we doing a series of unfortunate events?
At some point, yeah.
Sweet. Because I really like that film. I really like that film.
Yeah, this is like that, but with Neil Patrick Harris
That'll do.
and Patrick Warburton as well.
I don't know who that is. Wait,
Oh,
isn't Grey's
he's
Anatomy?
the guy.
Hang on, maybe not. Who am I thinking
No,
of? Oh, the dude in Rules of Engagement and
Yep.
Family Guy and Ted and
yep,
and that other thing, the blue motherfucker. What was it?
the chin,
No,
the beetle.
there's something else. Anyway, it's gone. Doesn't matter. Right.
Oh, actually, it's not on the list.
Uh-oh. That'll have to change. Frequency.
Yes,
Ooh,
this
There's-
show was a lot
there's a-
better than I thought.
there's a spicy show if ever I saw one. So you hadn't seen this before?
No, until I read like the synopsis of it last week, I had no idea this show existed apart
No.
from to put it on the list.
I've never even heard of the film either.
What? There's a film?
Mate, you've got to start reading the fucking opening titles. It says based on the film.
Doi.
Yeah, so an amazing concept. I fucking loved it. So
Oh,
There's
this
a-
was so good.
do you want to do the
From like the opening of this episode,
Yeah.
I was a bit like, oh, what if this is shit? This has every opportunity to just
100%.
be bad.
And I was thinking, after sort of the bright colours and characters and upbeat tempo and everything of Dirk Gently, because I've literally just watched them.
I watched them the other way around. I watched Frequency first.
Okay. Then to go to like a dark, bleak, sort of muted colour scheme, more dramatic, more serious thing. I was like, oh, is this really going to suffer? And it fucking didn't.
No, it didn't at all. Like, for me, it reminded me of the things that I liked from the first episode of Timeless.
Timeless, yeah, I knew you were about to say that.
Because I love the idea, but this does it so differently because okay, so
the setup. Give us, would you please, the setup.
So, Raimi's dad dies, as an undercover police officer in like 96.
1996, correct.
Well, it's not 2096. That would be weird. Then he died in the future.
Oh.
So then she is like I guess it's clear it's a cover story now, was that he went bad and like got killed in like a drug deal or whatever. I think the actual details of that aren't too important because it stops mattering after this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he dies, and then like 20 years later, she's 28 or something.
His daughter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, his daughter grows up because she's not dead. Becomes a police officer, and then lightning strikes a thing, which reminded me a lot of like the Flash TV show, because it's that same sort of like it's hitting through like something going through that window, like one of those skylight windows, and I'm like, I have a skylight. Hit me with lightning.
Yeah, maybe you can run real fast after that.
Yeah, but it turns on like that old ham radio, like that, like classic sort of talking to just random strangers through it radio. After she's very clear that she doesn't want anyone touching it or playing with it, then she's just like, this is mine. I used to talk to my dad on it, with my dad on the radio to
astronauts.
Well, yeah, I really like later in the show when she's talking to her younger self, and she's like, I'm not an astronaut. You're a fucking idiot, child. But throughout it, I like that the case that is in the background while she's trying to like save her dad through. Oh yeah, she can talk to her dad through time.
There you go. That's the bit. I was really hoping for you to say something like, this detective realizes she can speak to her dead dad, and then they're going to try and solve.
Yeah, I mean, she has to. They have to convince each other that they're not just like trolling each other.
That bit is that's really well done. That scene is like where she tells him what happens in a particular baseball game. He then goes to a bar and watches that game play out live.
But I like that she says it in such a way that's like, he clearly knows that this is like it's a game that's already happened, and he's just like, not into that baseball, and then he comes back saying like, oh, that was like some fucking prediction you made, like you called exactly what happened. She was like, yeah, that's because it's already happened in 1996, and he's just like, yeah, like yesterday, and she's like, no, 20 years ago.
Yesterday.
And then they start to like clock like that
they're actually in different time periods. Oh, I thought it was fucking great. I really like this.
I had no idea how much I would like this show.
That's what we were just saying before we start recording this, the like shows we're looking forward to doing in the next series of Co-Pilots. And I said the ones I'm looking forward to. Things we haven't seen. Yeah.
The ones that I know nothing about.
Well, yeah, the ones that for me are on a spreadsheet and it just says Channel 0 or Frequency. Those have been, or Spotless, those have been the best ones. Just because I had no idea what they were. And they turned out to be amazing.
Yeah, what I like in this one is it has, like with that Timeless had, that had, like, because obviously she saved her dad. Like, there wouldn't be much of a pilot if she didn't save her dad and then fuck everything else up.
Yeah.
But I like that in Timeless it was very localized to, like, the changes are very localized to her. But this seems to be like a much wider thing. Because in the background, while she's doing all like her police job with Mekhi Phifer, because he's awesome.
Also
very
Phifer,
fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got
fucking fat future.
Yeah, but I like it because his character's like the link between the two without the radio.
Yeah, because he worked with Frank in the 90s, and now he's working with Frank's daughter.
Do you know, I have a feeling he's going to turn out to be a villain in some way, or get erased from the timeline. You know, whatever.
Because this is the thing. In the background of all this,
there's that serial killer thing.
The Nightingale murderer who is murdering nurses, which comes and bites her on the arse at the end of the episode, doesn't it?
What I like is that so the timeline where her dad dies, there are 4 victims, and they've just discovered one after 20 years. So she's not accidentally, she purposefully saved her dad because she's like, my life will be better. And then so she starts to get her memories back. So she gets to like retain both timelines, which fair.
That's a really interesting idea.
And then so she then gets to like all these memories of like her growing up with her dad that she's focusing on, because obviously she missed 20 years of having a dad.
Yeah.
But then so doesn't focus on any of the other memories. So then she's like, she calls her mum and she's like, oh, why's your voicemail all fucking? It's like, oh, because she's been dead for like 19 years. Get fucked. So, and I like that the show, because it does the time that jumps between the two times, where something's changed. They have just like a little effect on the camera and like a little pause, just to be like, this is different. This is the thing that's changed. This is the butterfly effect. And it's just a different nurse being in the lift. That's the only change, and it looks like there have been a lot more victims of the Nightingale killer, which I think is meant to make you think that it's the dad.
Yeah.
But I don't think that seems too easy. Also, it's his wife.
Yeah, it'd be too predictable, I suppose.
And also, the last victim was killed after he was in the hospital. Well, after he was dead in the original timeline.
Mm.
But what I really want to see is how Raimi tries to fix and further fuck this up.
Yeah, because that's what we realised, you know, with Timeless, that just happened, and like, she loses her sister, isn't it? Is her sister?
Yeah.
Disappears, or mum doesn't exist anymore or something? Or?
Her mum is no longer ill, but her sister
is
vanished from the timeline.
Yeah.
But what I'm curious to see is if they'll do like what, because the Flash does some time travel where they go back and they change things, and like everyone's a bit like, oh, don't do that, and then Barry kind of goes, oh, it's alright, I won't do that anymore. Where they just sort of like they just accept the changes.
Mm.
But with
I like time travel stuff. So.
And what Timeless did was they tried not to change the outcome.
Whereas this,
like with this,
just running with it, I guess.
Yeah, with that they were trying, because they were interacting, they were obviously changing things, but they just tried to make sure the same outcome was achieved.
Yeah.
So not too much was changed. But with this, it seems like, because it's two characters communicating across time, I feel like probably what's going to happen is most of their focus is going to be the Nightingale killer, and I feel like each episode is going to focus on like 2 or 3 days per episode that they'll try and like solve things for, or he can leave evidence in the past that will help in the future.
That's a really cool. I was going to say the mechanic. Then it's a really good narrative device. That the whole, like, if he says, right, I've buried something else here, she can just go there and.
Yeah, it's like the etching the flag on the radio, and the burying like essentially like a proof of life picture in the garden.
Yeah. That
stayed there for 20 years. No, it's just such a nice take on, like, admittedly, something that gets done quite a lot. Like, time travel is a popular narrative tool.
But then, mixing that with a fairly, serious and not po-faced. What is it? A fairly yeah, I guess serious was the right word. Quite like a serious cop story, like because you could have a story about a team of cops looking for a serial killer, and that would be a perfectly acceptable jump off point for a show. But then if you say but one of the detectives is 20 years behind the other one, or 20 years ahead, however you want to look at it. That's such a great idea. The film that it's based on isn't actually that old. It came out in 2000.
Yeah.
Which actually, when you think about it,
I might watch this film.
It's nearly 20 years ago. Oh, God.
Wait, do you think in 20 years there'll be a ham radio that'll just say, you should make this film better?
Well, this film again
I have
on
no
Netflix,
idea, yeah.
in TV form, and they went, yeah, all right then. And they did. But unfortunately, it's been cancelled. Frequency.
I know, but mate, that could be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah,
depending on
I
how
guess.
good. Because can you, if like with most things, something could be really good for one season,
and then they do.
But then
two.
season 2 could be shit.
That's what I'm really worried about, and we'll get onto it next year. But The Sinner, I'm really worried that the second series of that is going to be crap, because the first was so good, but then where'd you go once the... Anyway, I won't discuss that, but yeah,
I mean, to be fair, for the most part, I really hate seasons, like shows that are good based on the pilot. Like, this seems like it's got a really good, like, I'm going places thing. But if they can wrap that all up in one season,
fine.
That's fine. As long as the end of the first season feels like I'm happy. As long as when I finish watching it, I'm happy with how it's ended.
Yeah.
Whereas
completely.
with like when Constantine got cancelled, I was livid because I loved that show.
That's sort of my feeling on, and I've not looked into this for a while. But if they do a fourth series of Hannibal, because it ended in such a perfect way, I'm worried that if they go forward beyond that story, I'm worried about that. But there is a window in which they could fill in the Silence of the Lambs stuff in between 2 and is it 2 and 3 or 1 and 2? But there's a feasible window where they could bring in Clarice and have Hannibal conversing with her while all the other stuff's still going on.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'd be interested to see what they did with season 4 of Hannibal. But then I still, I was quite happy with how it ended, because some of season 3 with all the Red Dragon stuff felt a bit
Rushed.
They were adding in a lot to just get it done.
Yeah.
Almost as if they knew there wasn't going to be a season 4.
Yeah. I think they were told they had to wrap it up and everything. Because Red Dragon, it's not a long book, but it does, it takes its time. And then in sort of, I think it's like the second or third episode of the Red Dragon story arc, you've got him in the museum eating the painting, which doesn't happen until quite near the end of the novel.
Yeah, so that seemed like a very rushed bit of story. But
I'm gonna rewatch Hannibal. I know it took me years to finish it, but I'm gonna rewatch Hannibal because I love that show. But anyway, Frequency's great.
Yeah, no, I'm going to. I feel like it's another one of those, those shows where you finish watching the first episode and then you go, oh, yeah, but I know we're recording the podcast tonight, but man, I really just want to not, I was like, I've already seen Dirk Gently. Could I get away with just another episode of this instead?
Yeah, no, it's great. So you are definitely going to carry on watching this?
Oh, 100%. I'm still watching this.
I think again. There's too many good shows that we've discovered in the second half of this series
really
that I'm
annoying,
rewatching. Like Tin Star, gave up on. How to Get Away with Murder, I was absolutely planning on finishing that, but we haven't even started it. So, but yeah, no, I really liked Frequency and Dirk Gently. I'm not sure which one I liked more because I liked them both for very different reasons, but
yeah, they just
really
have similar. There's a similar theme of weird time travel shit.
Yeah. But no, it was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Frequency was so good. I really liked Dirk Gently. I mean, I've already seen it. I already knew that I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like.
I feel like
Doctor
I
Who.
feel like Dirk Gently could be very Marmite though. I feel like it's either you are in or you just don't understand and don't like it.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I feel like Frequency's quite easy-ish to understand because it's just someone from the future telling people in the past like, "You're gonna die tomorrow. Maybe don't."
Yeah.
But I like that he initially was like, "Well, no, I don't want to change your life," but then went, "Oh, actually,
Hang on a minute.
I would quite like to be in it."
Yeah, I don't fancy this dying shit.
But then I wonder how much of the consequences she'll tell her dad. Because then he might be like, well,
Because then
what if I'm just dead? Will that fix things?
And depending on what he does know and does with that information could further influence that.
Yeah, because obviously she's going to be able to feed him stuff of their future investigations, so he might be able to save victims. And
Yeah.
maybe... Actually, if they have locations of the bodies, that should be... But no, they have to find the killer before her mum gets murdered. That's going to be like their sort of like time frame. Oh man, I really just want to...
I know what's going to happen. We're going to
cool.
stop recording, you're going to go away, and you're going to watch it all in one night.
How many episodes are there?
13.
Oh yeah, I could do that.
I've not done that since Breaking Bad Series 2. Done a whole series in one night, and actually I'm
They
quite
were
up
like
for finding something.
20 episodes.
No. The first and second, the first series was 7. The second might have been 16.
Oh yeah, that's not too bad. That's still a lot though.
Well, I started at I think because I was in Newcombe Road at that point, so it was second year, and I started it at 9. No, I started I think at 7 o'clock, and then I was finished by 9 o'clock the next morning.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I haven't done it since I think the last season of Stranger Things I did it.
Oh, did you? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't do it with Orange. I normally do it with Orange is the New Black. But I think I watched 4 episodes and then I was like, I'm so tired. And I watched the rest the next day.
Oh, excuse me. But yeah, next episode.
You're pretty excited about this episode.
It's a big one for me. I really cannot wait for next week. So next week we are going to be talking about The Twilight Zone, and we're going to be talking about Tales from the Crypt. So we've got an anthology sci-fi show and an anthology horror show, and I am fucking buzzing.
Yeah, because have you seen both of these before?
No, I've not seen Tales from the Crypt before. I've only heard things about it, and it's mentioned a lot in various horror books and podcasts and documentaries and shit.
I just remember that you were the one who mentioned it when we added it to the list.
And The Twilight Zone, I have actually seen the pilot of The Twilight Zone, but I'll happily watch it again. But I think this was inspired by my trip to Disneyland earlier this year when we went on the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, and I had a fucking great time on that ride. So
I like that the episode after that is just so modern.
What's that?
Like the newest Star Trek and the newest 24 series.
Oh yeah.
And then it sort of fades back into these things have been out for a while.
We're finishing on The fucking Wire, so I think we're the last people in history to talk about The Wire.
I mean, to be fair, I still haven't seen it, so...
No, me neither. I've got the fucking... Look, here, you know what this is? That's Series 1 of The Wire on DVD, which I've had for about 15 years.
I think I have a copy of it floating around here somewhere.
I think I've seen it in your flat before, so you should have. But yeah, so next time, Twilight Zone and Tales from the Crypt. I can't wait. I'm going to watch them this weekend, and it's going to be an absolute banger.
Yeah, I'm just gonna watch the rest of Frequency, and then I guess the episodes that we're talking about next time, if I have to.
Well, this has been fun.
Yeah, and 20 years from now, if you can save our lives, do it.
In 20 years' time, we're gonna someone's gonna produce. No, our offspring are gonna produce a podcast in which they go back and tell us why we were fucking wrong about everything.
Could you imagine? That would be awesome.
Maybe, like, you know, tell us where we should have made some choices in our lives, where we should have acted upon something sooner than we're going to.
Or if they just tell us good shows as soon as they come out.
One day it will happen. Anyway, we'll see you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Get fucked.